look at how to go forward for the country, as you say, is there any area of coalition building that could happen? There are pragmatic Republicans, as you say. Could there be a whole new way of trying to, get legislation going and cross-party governance going by Democrats and certain Republicans forming a coalition?
Well, you saw the number of Republicans who voted along with Democrats to keep the government open. So there's clearly a common sense, sane part of the Republican caucus in the House. But I think they are intimidated. They oftentimes, say and do things which they know better than to say or do. And it will require us defeating those most extreme measures and the people who promote them in order to try to get to some common ground where people can, again, work together. That's the way it used to be. I mean, we had very strong partisans in both parties in the past, and we had very bitter battles over all kinds of things, gun control and climate change and the economy and taxes. But there wasn't this little tail of extremism wagging the dog of the Republican Party as it is today. And sadly, so many of those extremists, those Maga extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members, but something needs to happen.
And how do you do that? Because you said you have to defeat them by defeating their leader. Their leader is Donald Trump. Even you have said that you expect him to be the Republican nominee. How does this change at all?
At this point, I think, sadly, he will still likely be the nominee, and we have to defeat him.
That Hillary Clinton clip about it's actually sort of the same.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too. Yeah.
Other side. Yeah, this is the other side of this coin, of this sort of people that are participating in this red-blue fight of culture. We talked about one side, the blue MAGA. Now let's move over to sort of red MAGA, because I could almost consider Hillary Clinton red MAGA. Absolutely, that interviewer. She always gets the best interviews, and she's always pushing them harder to go hard. It seems like she's just the top warmongering sort of cheerleader. But in this clip with Hillary Clinton, it's amazing that what they're saying just out in the open, Nick. In no way do I think that's a Freudian slip. In no way do I think, she's misspeaking. She literally is. They are literally either have come up with a plan or they already devised a plan to keep us misinformed. And I think that's sort of what she's referring to, but I'll pass it back to you for any comment.
There was just a segment released on our channel where I explained the shocking amount of Democrats who support just rank censorship violation of the First Amendment, right? And that's why I want people who are post-duopolist, because Dr. Cornel West is a post-duopolist. He's running outside a two-party duopoly. So we need to take the language that Democrats are fascists and they are as extremists as the Republican Party. You lose people when you pretend otherwise. Because listen to what Hillary Clinton said there. She essentially advocates for re-education camps for people who support Donald Trump. That's an extremist position. At what point do we call out the establishment for having unhinged extremist positions? Arming Nazis in Ukraine is an extremist position, for example. Supporting censorship is an extremist position. Well, half of the Democratic Party believe that we should censor more. AOC's biggest criticism of Facebook is that Facebook don't censor enough, CJ. She have the hearing, you guys are spreading hate speech. Neoliberals
they call it guardrails. I noticed that's a term. Understand they use soft language because they know what they're saying is insane. They use these soft language so that the craziness doesn't sound crazy to the person they're trying to propagandize. You are a person who says this all the time. We must start using language to actively describe what these people are. This is why we need to move from calling it apartheid to genocidal Israel.
CJ, on that
you get
point,
what I'm saying? Go ahead.
CJ, on that point, the reason why I use the language that I do to describe Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton as an authoritarian fascist, because we should use the same language to describe our ruling class as the ruling class neocons use to describe the United States enemies. Because when you listen to how the United States neocons describe their enemies, when they talk about Xi Jinping, Putin, Nicolas Maduro, they do nothing but project what they really are to them. So they will say stuff like, well, you can't call, they use civility politics to mute us. You can't call John McCain a fucking fascist war criminal. That's rude. Meanwhile, they look at Nicolas Maduro like, look at this authoritarian fascist. Like, you guys think Nicolas Maduro's body count is anywhere near Joe Biden's? Do you guys think the police state in Venezuela, China, Russia is anywhere as expansive as ours? Where you have the police state that is responsible for more wealth being stolen from the working class than criminals. Repeat after me, white America, because I know you guys are scared as hell of everything, right? Police steal more money from the working class than criminals do. But you guys think that other countries are authoritarian. No one is more authoritarian than Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. They are the most effective evil. And CJ, I'm gonna use the time to transition in our first segment. See, Jimmy joined us in the second hour of this show, so I have a few things I want to cover real quick. Feel free to chime in with a segment if you want as well, because this is actually a great segue to this. I want you guys to understand the Democrats are the most extreme. The most extreme. People are confused about my position when I said I wanted to work with anybody in order to accomplish my goals, right? Like even if it's a conservative who attend my event, a liberal who attend my event, because I view building coalitions and accomplishing the goal as being the most important, right? But there are people that are like, oh, I don't want to support and work with conservatives because they're fascists or whatever. And then they will organize with Democrats. Like, you guys understand, I view Biden supporters as disgusting. Especially if you knew his record. Especially if you knew his record. You voted for one of the most anti-black politicians in the modern era who crafted the crime bill and helped destabilize the Middle East, put sanctions regimes that are responsible for genocide all around the world. He was the senator of MDNA, or the credit card companies, wrote the bankruptcy bill, which is responsible for a wealth transfer, which created the situation where black and white income inequality is worse than it's been since the civil rights movement. Do you guys understand? No one has a track record of Joe Biden. Not Donald Trump. There are people that equals Joe Biden. I would say people like John McCain equals him because he was right there alongside with them. Joe Manchin and all those people, right? Like anyone who's been in the Senate, Dianne Feinstein. So this is what I'm saying. They all equal. And a lot of these people work together. The Democrats are the most effective evil. They get things that the Republican Party can't get done. So I don't understand why organizing with people who vote for this criminal is okay. But people are like, oh, you want to organize with conservatives. Like you have liberal tendencies. And your mind is still colonized. You still don't realize it. So I'm consistent, CJ. I view both people as deplorable.